Mic check. Here we go. Brand Brothers live in effect.
Perfect. Yeah, I just got mail drops in. So I was gonna pop them right out here. I'm looking at shirts for the fall. So I got
it's a live look at
strong cobalt.
Yeah.
With the cowboy joint.
Strong cobalt. Is that the color?
Yeah. Well, just a cobalt, and then but then I got like a wash version, like the faded one.
Let's see the wash.
Yeah. So basically. So I gotta get it on camera here. You can kind of see the blue versus the wash blue.
Oh, I see. We've got two.
Are we looking at samples?
We've got two more
samples. We're going there. Yeah, I mean, I got crop pants in today. We got all kinds of stuff happening.
Wow, crop pants.
Yeah, I got to fix the drawstrings and all this, but we're making things happen. I got all the samples in before I go to China.
How long do those go down, or are those? Are we wavy at the bottom? What are we doing?
Yeah, so those are cropped. Those are they're based on like a Rick Owens crop pants. But Rick Owens has like the drop crotch on them, which a lot of people don't like. So I kind of raised that up and then made it a comfy material, and they won't be $900. So
yes, which is a win for all of us.
Yeah, indeed. And Jordan, you're coming to us live from a log cabin.
I am here in a log cabin. Last week I was in a Everglade in Florida. This week I'm in Oregon in a log cabin, ready for some fly fishing.
What is the rarest fish or animal head mounted on a wall inside the establishment with which you're staying?
There is some pretty rare trout up here. We've got some rainbow fish, some taxidermy, all kinds of gadgets around this place. It's amazing.
Oh. And Ashwin, I assume you are live from the West Side Highway, judging by your background?
Live from the West Side Highway, preparing for a run tomorrow as it is Friday.
So Ashwin, are we on the once a week half marathon running circuit? Is that what we're continuing?
That's the schedule. That's the schedule. That's the Summer Friday schedule.
That's absolutely savage. Just a straight up half marathon every Friday.
Just kick the weekend off right.
Yes, amazing. Well,
what's the agenda look like, Jordan? What we talking about today?
Yeah, well, let me show you guys. Let me pull it up here. We've got a few things. Hold on.
Ooh,
no, that's not it.
Look at us.
Speaking of Rick Owens,
wow.
Hold on.
Yeah. I didn't even know Rick made the slides. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Excuse me, guys. Trying to figure out this.
Okay, Ashwin, you got any limericks in the meantime? You prepping any haikus for what we've got going on here?
Oh my gosh.
We'll do some audience outreach for the haikus. Drop them in the comments.
All right, perfect.
And also let us know what for people joining in. I know we're doing this at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. PST. Today we're trying out the evening conversation, just because we've done Fridays.
Real marketing happens at night.
A little bit
that's
tough.
What I'm saying. That should be that's the tag phrase.
What's that?
Because real marketing happens at night.
There we go.
We brand in the dark.
That's right.
That's right. Guys, not wanting to show my slide, of course. We're only a few years.
It had it up there for a minute. I don't know what you.
Yeah, it's not showing. Though. Oh, here we go.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. I just added it.
You did?
Yeah, but then you took it. Oh, here we go. I mean, back in the whole keyframe. But let's roll. So we're talking about the Olympics Roundup. We're going to definitely hit everything going on there. Lawsuits, terrible merch. What else we got?
We got, within that Olympics Roundup, we've got Kith has got, their own collab. We've got Nike. Does KD hate Nike? Does Nike think KD is a bad person? We're not sure. Bandit has signed perhaps the smallest Olympic team out there. Jake Paul and Prime have been sued. We also have upcoming perhaps a Luxottica Supreme acquisition, and maybe Zuck is getting in the mix.
Yeah.
Oren, I don't know. Do you think Zuck will be the new creative director? Maybe take over for Tremaine?
No, but I do know this is just one way to know that he's hanging around with the bras. Is as soon as the Supreme pops in. We're going to introduce a new segment. We're going to have Ashwin's social pick of the week, right? So my man's always posting hot organic content. He's going to pick the smallest, most independent brand he can to share their strategy. I'm just because it's
very small brand out of California this week.
Just a little guy known for their moderately decent pizza.
They make pizza, but we're not going to be highlighting their pizza, macaroni and cheese, I think.
Yeah, but we plan to take plenty of Q&A as well, so feel free to drop that in there and any other branding or marketing topics that come out throughout the week. But what do we want to hit first? We want to do this Olympics chatter?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. Let's go Olympics. What is I mean, to me, Bandit. Do you guys want to start with Bandit? I think it's
let's
super
hit it. So what did Bandit do as our chief Bandit correspondent?
Yes, Chief Bandit correspondent checking in here. Bandit has signed a small. Let's see. What is the country, Oren? You said it.
The Grenadines or St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yes, it's absolutely amazing. They have signed the this Grenadine team, and they only have 2 runners, I believe. And so let me try to share my screen.
Yeah, I'm popping a screen up here, and so
get it up there.
We can get something in there. And so, all right, so this is interesting because a Bandit that we talked about prior has been making moves inside the Olympics, right? They did this unsponsored project we talked about. They actually had some people go get relatively successful off that, right? Some of these people actually made the Olympics, even though they weren't sponsored. Now they have gone and sponsored Team St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is and designed these uniforms for them. Is that also what that entails?
Yeah. So they're doing, so the big thing with Bandit that was really interesting is they were playing within themselves, trying to say, hey, we're not a really big company. We can't sponsor a full Olympic team like the Nikes, Adidas's, Ons of the world. But it sounds like they got this opportunity that came late. This country has 2 runners who only run the 800. And they stepped in and are like, hey, our other backer, backed out at the last minute. So Bandit steps in. And now they are actually able to deliver for this country. They go over to Paris, shoot this amazing content on this like quick turn, which is
this content is fire. Creative directed by Tim West, noted creative director feature on the Hyper newsletter.
Indeed, Bandit founder. And they also said if you look, they launched on Instagram with this kind of a mailman going around telling people all around Paris that this was coming. And that gentleman that's featured there is actually the leader of the biggest run club in Paris. So, they're tapping into, this sort of organic grassroots elements that are already happening in the running community there in Paris. It's a pretty brilliant idea, I think.
And so this is a great example. So this is opportunistic campaigning and branding, right? Where this is something that small brands have as a massive advantage over larger brands, where they can say, hey, so something's happening in culture. We have the opportunity to hop in, but not just like we're going to throw our logo on something, right? They executed 2 excellent campaign pieces based off this in rather short order, right? What's the timeline this got done? Like a week. So not only did they go execute the campaign we saw before with kind of excellent art direction, but it was the kind of art direction that like it's not like a huge conceptual thing, right? It's really about the framing and the proposition that they're putting together there. But then they also executed this campaign with like a local run club, I'm sure it was enabled by their community and the people that they have and we're able to reach out to. We're able to shoot that for social content at the same time and then get this all live in like a week. Pretty impressive. Again, that's the edge that smaller brands have versus trying to get approvals, in the Adidas Megaplex.
The global megaplex, indeed. I mean, I don't know what is all involved in actually trying to get approved by the IOC and all that. I just wonder if you're able to provide the uniform or if you have to pay licensing rights. I'm sure they're not able to. Actually, if we look at the content, well, they do have the rings in there. So, I mean, incredible opportunity for them. And I think I just love what I love is kind of the up and coming brands who are able to just do like really quick response. You like capitalize upon the moment. They were just in Eugene. They got all this coverage for the unsponsored project or scrambling, their whole team was there for a couple of weeks. I think like it's just a great example of like capitalizing on the moment. So much of social, so much of marketing is about, are you relevant? Are you timely? And can you be there? And this is a great example of it.
All right, Ashwin, if you were going to do additional organic social for this, you were going to try and pump it out there. Any good strategies or ideas to help push this?
I think, Bandit's aesthetic is pretty dialed in. So I would probably be doing a lot of stories behind the scenes on this. So they're out there shooting these photos. If I'm Bandit and if I'm Tim, and I think Tim was actually doing some of this is, hey, I'm, in Paris, we're like delivering the uniforms. Here's how we're setting up the shots. Just like showing that second POV of kind of how the sausage is made, I think is even more interesting than just the final shot. But stylistically, I think there's a way to do that too. But that's immediately where my mind goes. Fire.
Look at this shot.
So great. That is so great.
I know, dude. That last one is just incredible.
And just for context, like, putting this stuff together fast and then doing this on the fly and like having some stuff come out like this, like, which is probably some spur of the moment. Someone was just like, oh, yo, I saw this light or I saw this shadow, or someone who was in Paris that really knows their shit was like, hey, we're going to get this perfect shot. Like, that's just,
Dude, it's just incredible. I mean, I sometimes wish, in this new vertical video era of Instagram, TikTok, I feel like I miss some of this like beautiful editorial, content. I liked the old kind of photo era of Instagram where you could just really take in some beautiful creative direction and some great photography. And that's a great example of it,
Well, something I was actually talking about this because we have a bunch of we have a lot of photographers in Cut 30 this time. And so I've actually been workshopping with a lot of photographers, and something that's interesting topic of conversation because like, everyone's trying to, you'll post your work and you'll get, 400 followers, right? 1,400 followers, maybe 10K. But then there's a difference between like when you actually get to, how do you want to grow your account? And I was actually breaking down the different sizes and styles of that, like what you can do. And I actually think it's really interesting. So if you are someone like that and you're watching this, you can tap into it. Like the first is like, if you do show your work, you can do it, but just in a really artful way, right? Like there's all these people that do these compilations that are like very specifically to trending audio. Every cut is on the beat. Like they're doing with more effects like application, but it's still around like still photos. And then you have like explainer people, right? Where it's like, here's how I did this shot, or here's my behind the scenes and then to the forward, or here's how someone else did this shot, or like, here's how you use one key light, whatever it is. And you can do that like very simple, like pop on green screen. That's like scenario one. Or you can do like OMG Adrian and be like, I'm gonna make a movie about how I made a movie, and like take full production. And then there's people that are like actually making like full art specific for Instagram, being like, hey, you know what, I should just do that. But I think, you can still put those photos out there. It's just like the medium with which you choose to describe it versus kind of going in the grid. And anyway.
I actually saw a beautiful example of this. I was trying to find it, but there's a guy, I love seeing photographers who figure out a way to showcase it in the vertical video era. And there's a guy who does this, like, in fact, I have my camera here, but he says no words, and he just comes in, he goes, ooh, and like, does this thing. And then he shows like the shot, and he shows like how he frames it up. He like puts his hands real quick, and then he like will document him, lining it up, and then like click, and then shows like the final image. And it's really compelling and captivating, watching it, seeing the process, and then seeing the end result. So there's a way to do it.
And while we're here, just because I may kick Jordan's slide out of the chat and then pop out another window, just because I know people like these visual examples when we show them. So I'm going to pop into this. This is one of the references I was giving to some people in Cut 30, where I was just like, hey, like it's their photos, it's video editing to it, but it's not like crazy. Like this is someone smart hour in After Effects, right? Or hour in Premiere, kind of doing their thing. And there's like a lot of examples of, the ability to do that, and these like filters and things that happen for it. And like, I think there's a lot of approaches people can have. Like this Greedy by Design account is a good example. Like they've taken a design lens on that kind of stuff, but it's the kind of things that work there. And so it's interesting. Yeah. Even when you notice like carousels, is like these designed carousels, like with the overlays, like obviously work much better. Like when you go to your explore page, this is a reference I'm bringing up for people all the time. It's like it's not just like an image, unless it's like a product like really well put out. It's like 22 things I learned in 22 years. Like how to love, like the titles are there and they're big. And if you just take that same approach, like I might show my same photography on a hero shot like this, like maybe it hits, but like the ability to say, I'm going to actually add that context onto it. I think goes a long way into like getting people to actually engage with your stuff from the explore page.
Yeah. It's
what account was that for reference?
That was Greedy by Design, I think, was that the previous account. All right, cool. What else we got Olympic wise? That was Bandits first. Second is Prime got sued. I don't even know what they got sued for, but I feel like we should probably talk about that.
So they said, I believe they said they are the official, not official. Actually, let's look into that.
Yeah, they said.
I think maybe they had an Olympic color bottle.
They said it has been using trademark symbols and phrases as part of a recent promotion with USA basketball player Kevin Durant. We'll get into Kevin Durant in a second. Very rare. KD has both the drink Olympic engagement and the Kith engagement. I'm just saying that's a.
Yes, we've got a trademark infringement.
The phrases include Olympic, Olympian, Team USA, and going for gold. These guys just don't give a shit. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I see. Yeah, because they had KD in that.
Kevin Durant Olympic prime drink. You know, the fact that it's like broken English is like the most prime shit I've ever heard, right? The fact that they're just like, it's not even that they like used the copy in the campaign. It's like definitely some stuff that dude was just like writing on his phone, you know? It's like, cause like that's how they're moving. Yeah.
Kevin Durant Olympic prime drink. Amazing. I mean, you know, for the people who don't know, you've got to get really creative with the way that you talk about these things. So you'd have to say like Kevin Durant's championship chasing drink, you know, or something, or chase for gold with the prime, you know, whatever.
Yo, yeah, you do it. Well, the way you do it, look, you got open thesaurus. I opened a thesaurus. I put in Olympic. It gave me Olympiad, which I'm like, all right, no one's suing me for using Kevin Durant Olympiad drink. And in fact, I may get more comments from it. I feel like there's a whole bunch of, you could just use the thesaurus. You can get creative with this.
You know, it's interesting. Last summer, I did a partnership with TikTok where they were putting together content for brands and advertisers on TikTok to tee them up for how to think about creating content for the Olympics. So 12 months ago, right? And so I worked with TikTok on making a short form video of the report, highlighting like insights of the report. Like if you're a sports brand, here's how you should think about engaging with content. Here's why you should be planning for the Olympics, blah, blah, blah. And I make this video and I turn the video around pretty quickly to them. And they're like, hey, yeah, all of this is great, except you can't say Olympics in any of
my God.
And I'm like, well, the whole point is about the Olympics,
the time of year when people engage in the pursuit of global excellence.
It's literally what I had to say. They were like, you can say like the big day of games or the big week of games, and so you find all this language, but
for sporting immortality.
This trademark infringement stuff is really interesting, and what I'm actually more curious about is what is the actual fallout for Prime from this? How much will they have to pay to settle it? Is there any fallout, or do they just?
I feel like this is a classic. I didn't know we couldn't do that. You know, like I'm just an influencer.
Yeah, I'm just a silly influencer. Ask for forgiveness, not permission, is usually a good strategy. You know.
Also, I mean, I feel like they get hit all the time. They were like, "Oh, we need to investigate the high levels of caffeine and dangerous Prime," and it's like, nothing ever happened. You know, like.
Yes.
All right. So what was next in the Olympics? We had so Kith dropped a campaign. I dropped a noted heater video trademark discussing the various campaigns of the Olympics.
Yours was so good. Let me pull this up, but I mean, I particularly love your commentary on what did you say about Kith? You
oh yeah. So they took a break from their Tony the Tiger and Honey Nut Cheerios collabs to drop that heat. Yeah, for Kevin Durant. But yeah, I think what was interesting is like, Kiss did like a vintage campaign, right? And I think a lot of people hated on the stuff that came out by just being like, oh, they're just redoing old iconography and stuff. I'm like, look, if it works, yes. But also they 50-50 split it with like, okay, a bunch of like vintage USA iconography, but you also get like the Kith quasi bandana geometric whatever stuff that they do for their elder demographic. And I think that so it's a good mix of like the Kith things and the vintage. And also that's what people want. Like, I don't think you fault people for going vintage. You got to know what year to go vintage. You went vintage 6 years ago in the Olympics. People will be like, this is whack. But you go vintage right now and people are like, fucking run it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they put this together. It's fine. You know, I mean, they use the logos there. It looks almost like an Averex jacket or something. I mean, we're going belly style here or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and keep rolling. They got a lot of stuff in that campaign.
Yeah,
like that's just the basketball stuff with Kevin Durant.
Oh, did they go outside of basketball with Kith?
Yeah, they have like a massive USA. One sec, I'll pop it up on here.
Well, the fascinating thing that I was talking about, with some people is Kevin Durant this week. We'll talk Nike probably in a minute, but Nike rolled out a big campaign, but LeBron was a feature. There were other athletes, but KD was not one of them who was featured. And, sometimes at these big brands, you strategize with partners. Kith is a big partner of Nike. And you may say to Kith, like, hey, you guys can take KD as the lead. We've got LeBron as the lead for this, branded spot that we have over here. So sometimes they're sharing, but I don't know. It sounds like he wasn't too happy about it. Oh, but yeah, that's quite extensive.
That's not even the stuff. There was so much. This is like the third drop. This is like classic Kith. That there was so much stuff that I can't even find the actual drop.
I don't know how they You know, I don't
every
know
Monday we look at all these brands represent all the other. I mean, it may be this may be a topic to dive into, to double click real quick, but like these brands, once you get momentum and you start to realize how people consume, which is like, okay, if I have money that week or I'm interested in buying that week, I buy. If I'm not, I don't. Like there's a reason they drop every week. Like Rep has new stuff live every week. Kith has stuff live every week. And because you're also in that promotional cycle where you look at your social media content and you're like, all right, next campaign, like next lookbook, like next e-commerce set, next influencer seed, whatever. And it's just a constant rotation if you want to be getting 60 posts out a month. And so I do think that like once you have a little bit of resources, and Skims, who also did Olympics, is like the kings and queens of this, right? Where they're not just doing that with drops. They're doing like noted athlete campaigns at that speed. And I thought it was funny that Skims went and got the license for like underwear and sleepwear and swimwear for the Olympics, like the cheap licenses. So those who don't know how licenses work, you can like buy by categories, and it's like costs a lot to get headwear, but like you want underwear, like you can probably get that shit for the low. Like I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, and you know, we call those like carve outs in the industry. So like you find the carve out of like you know, eyewear or underwear, or you know, there's obviously the apparel deal or the outerwear or the you know, podium, you know, apparel, footwear. But then you go like niche, and you could do like the official you know, wheelchair accessories of the Olympics, and you could get that for on the low, you know, or the underwear deal. Yeah, a lot of people aren't going to see that above board,
but they get to have their like their Team USA. So the art direction on this and using the like the wheelchair incredible. But then also it's just like classic Skims. Like this is like this design, you know, and I have a lot of respect for Skims just because their velocity and the things that they're doing. But like the designs are just like, just throw it on, just run it. Like you get the guy get this approved overnight. Like put a flag on it, you know. Like, look at this shit, just by straight Team USA. Like, run it, you know. Send that shit. What font we got? You know, it's a narrow go.
They're used to neutrals, I think, and so you know, just throw a couple logos on, and you're good. You know,
new territory for them.
It is new territory.
But that's a good way for if you're a smaller brand, you want to get into licensing. And there's a licensing expo in Vegas. This is where I did this deal over the last 2 years with Halo. We were doing all our meetings at the licensing expo. I remember going there. And it was really interesting because, for instance, like all the metal stuff, like you see, like Represent has like Metallica collabs and stuff. Like the booth where you can license that stuff is there. And so literally, if you go here and you get a pass, and it was like, and it's just there was a booth that just had all the metal stuff. And it was just like, cool, you can get Pantera, this album, this iconography. You can get blank, and like it's a 15% fee and a blank up front. And obviously, like Microsoft's there with all the Microsoft properties. There's a whole no limit booth. I think y'all will appreciate, like straight up, like Master P, like the whole, you can like license no limit. And I was like, man, they actually spent some money on a build out. I'm like, someone's doing this, you know?
That is incredible. Give us a ballpark figure of like if Valuable Studios wanted to do like a, you know, Pantera, you know, collab.
Yeah, it's probably 20K. I'd say 20 or 30K, and you're getting and like a 12% of the sales that are coming out of it. So like, honestly, not that crazy, especially when you start to see people do these collabs and they look like it's a collab, right? No one's like, I licensed this. It's like, it's a Pantera collab. People are like, oh, sick, Pantera. And so you always have to kind of dig in to be like, is this a collab or is this a license? And I know, Jordan, you're probably more familiar with this than me, but like a bunch of those Malbon collabs early with Nike weren't either. They were just buying wholesale Nike and printing Malbon on it and just being like, come at us, you know?
Yeah, and if you slap your logo on that and you have it next to the other big logo like a swoosh, it looks like a collaboration. I think to the untrained eye, to a lot of people, if you just see, you know, two brand logos next to each other, you think it's a collab. And it's not crazy to think that it is because there's so many today. But yeah, you can get
the audience. You have the design eye, or you think it will bring new people in there. Like the Pantera one's interesting. If I was like, yeah, I want to go rip Pantera, or like the one I was looking at was I was trying to be like, if I can't get an official collab, I was like, I want to get like Shelby Cobra or like, you know, like some stuff like really like niche car shit, you know, like, hey, Buick, can I, you know, like, can I put an eagle on it?
Winnebago, of course. Maybe the Winnebago license.
What's the Winnebago license look like, brother?
Ashwin, we don't even need to go straight to Winnebago. We could just go for the license, bro.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah, I like that. Before we move on from the Olympics, I have one more that I just wanted to show because I think it's actually really clever. This woman, I saw this during the trials, and this woman I was like, wait, she has Doritos on her her track uniform, and it was a Doritos sponsor that they had done a deal with, and she went and ran the race, her first like heat, and the whoever, the IOC or whatever, came to them and slapped her hand and said, hey, Doritos is not an official cheesy chip of the Olympic chasing dreams. And so they made her take it off. And so she was like, okay. So she goes home, gets clever, gets tape in the same color as nacho cheese Doritos, and cuts out triangles in the shape of Doritos and covers up the logo because they told her she could tape over the logo.
She was definitely like, she's like, I'm not losing this bag because whatever this takes, we are getting this done.
This is the type of ambassador that I want for my brand. I mean, innovative, clever, scrappy. Keep going, Christina Clemens. I love to see it.
Now that we're talking social on the Olympics, another social post that caught my eye, it was either this week or last week, was from a beauty brand called Caudalie, some French name. I'm butchering it. And the video is of a boat going down the Seine with a kind of CGI or some CGI work of their serum, oversized serum on this boat, dropping like serum drops into the Seine and like cleaning up the Seine. And the caption was like Caudalie's new serum, like to clean up dark spots, right? Because there's this whole thing about like cleaning up the Seine, and it's like this big thing in Paris. That had like 10 million views on TikTok. Yeah, here's the video. So this crushed it on Instagram. It crushed it on TikTok. Most of their content has like 5,000, 10,000 views. So this did super well. And I think it's timely. It like ties into the scene of the Olympics, but not like directly oriented around anything with the Olympics. And this is something that we were talking about either earlier, as I've made a few videos on this, is that you can do these kind of like, for many people, they can look at this and think like, sure, this is like a real out-of-home activation because it just looks so real. It gets shared a ton because people think it's this realistic thing. There's another half of the population watching this and they're like, that's not real, but that's really clever. But in either way, it gets shared and is provocative. And I think it's another reminder there's a really interesting way to play with like CGI and visual stuff this way, and then also do things just at really small scales or really large scales.
Well, I'm curious what you think, like, where do we draw the line? Because I've seen a lot of these like CGI, AV, like they're really clever. Is it VR or AR? I can never keep track. And you do, we had the Snapchat filters for a long time. I think Amazon and Roger Federer had that one over the London Bridge a couple months ago. I think the distinction here on this one, if I hear you right, is like it's got a direct tie to what's happening with all the controversy of the river. And now we've like taken it. It's not just the spectacle of having this like dropper on the river. It's building on the insight that everyone knows is like there's this controversy over the dirty water, and their product actually cleans the thing. So that it's super clever. That's a great one.
It's a better tie-in than other things that it's like, hey, we're just where Roger Federer playing tennis on like London Bridge. Why?
Yeah. Speaking of that, do we want to go to California Pizza Kitchen now, or do we want to go to Luxottica?
Let's do CPK.
All right,
about that mac and cheese, brother.
We'll do CPK. So the roundup of what happened with CPK. So earlier this week, creator on TikTok went to TikTok. She was like, I'm having a horrible week. I just ordered takeout. You won't believe what happened. I ordered mac and cheese from CPK, and this is what I got. And she just shows off a tray of cheese. And she was like, I called them and they basically gaslit me, saying that you need to order the noodles separately. And she was like, that is not true. It's mac and cheese. It comes in one dish. And the guys were trying to tell her it's just like you ordered the cheese separately from the noodles. So she makes this video, gets 4 million views. A ton of people in the comments are like, that's crazy. I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. Other people are like, CPK, are you going to comment on this? This is preposterous service. So CPK responds pretty quickly. And they make a video with one of their chefs, head chef. I'm not sure who it is. And the head chef is just like, hey, it seems like there's been some concern about how to make a mac and cheese. So I'm going to tell you how to do it. Here's step 1. Here's step 2. And it's like very kind of like tongue in cheek, eye roll. Like, I can't believe you guys like who work at CPK don't know how to do this, and like, don't make our customers feel bad. That got 10 million views, but something interesting that they did to blow this out, not just a social response, was hey, we're going to make all takeout mac and cheese orders 50% off until the end of the month. And they put this now in all of their social posts. They've like done a few different social posts about this. They've given that original creator like free takeout for the whole year. And why I think that's interesting is it's not just a good social response, kind of taking, you know, taking responsibility for the fault of your company, which so many brands are scared to do, to publicly acknowledge that they have screwed something up. They'll be like, no, don't draw more attention to it. We're going to draw attention to the fact that like our delivery sucks. But it's just like, listen, people have already seen it. It's already out there. Don't let the internet control that narrative. You can just get in there, be a little bit self-deprecating, because people like when companies act like humans. And when you're a human, if you mess up someone's order, it's like, yeah, that human is just going to like go fix your order and they're going to be nice about it. So they, 10 million views here. And I'd be curious to see the numbers on how much traction they're getting with that discount code and the order lift that they've gotten from that. But I think the thinking there is, hey, if people go and use that code, they're not just going to be ordering mac and cheese. They're going to be ordering a much larger basket size. So I think a smart, well-executed and timely play all around from CBK for a company that historically doesn't really do social all that well.
No, they have 40,000 followers. I think 60 on Instagram. It's incredible.
You think this was an internal thing, or think they called in the crisis PR experts?
No, they had some crisis PR people in, because I made this video and then this guy DM'd me and he was just like, hey, I work at this agency and like we got this like last minute call and here's what was going on. And so like we pitched this turnaround to them and they executed on it very, very quickly.
I feel like Girl Boss Town is like, I was right here. You guys could have just called me at any point.
That is so good, man. I mean, it just continues to go down the rabbit hole of what we talk about is like, what'd you say? The content is in the comments. I love that.
Yeah. The comments are the content, right? That's where everything is happening. And so when you look at that video, 4 million views, it's not just the views, right? If those views were standalone and comments were off, that's one thing. But it's like, hey, now you have 15,000 comments where everyone is roasting California Pizza Kitchen. You have that's almost more important than the original video itself.
Right. God, so fun, man. I mean, I just think that like it's such a good lesson. I actually spoke to a group in Vegas a while back, and I showed the Stanley example, and we talked about it, and they started to implement some of this. Like somebody had a bad hotel at somewhere else, and they jumped in the comments and offered them a thing, and like this is just what social should be. It should be more of a conversation. It should be more fun. Like, I live for this stuff. This is so good. It's such a clever way to like utilize the internet and the moment. I do have a question though. Do we think the young woman who ordered the original order, did she actually screw up, or was it CPK who totally screwed it up?
I think it's almost irrelevant, because like even if CPK were to go and like dig up receipts and be like, hey, you ordered just cheese, it's like it could go one of two ways. I think it could go like, but I actually think it would go poorly, because the way that original creator opened up her video, she's like, my boyfriend broke up with me this week. Like I almost got laid off from my job. So it's like, if she's having a shitty week and made this mistake on her order, CPK isn't going to get sympathy for this large corporation.
CPK just dunking,
just like
we pull the receipts and you're shady life. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah. Now she's got free mac and cheese for years. So, the real MVP.
And everybody else gets 50% off of mac and cheese now as well.
So, high margin item. So, all things considered.
That's true. Somebody's dropping in the Jacquemus did this. How do I say this?
Jacquemus. Yeah. I think they were pretty big on, they do a ton of CGI. They're probably one of the first brands that I saw doing just like really outsized CGI.
They do.
Really well.
They do an absolute ton of it, and just oversized items in general, and then CGI. Yep. They did the bag trains was the first like really noted one. Them and Truff, I feel like, were the two that were really going for it from the start.
Yeah. So these are like physical.
Now the top ones are when you go down. They had their bags as trains in Paris. Was like the OG, like holy moly.
Yes,
we're going viral off this, right? Now they're just doing oversized real items. Like they had the oversized maps on the new. Now it's like a format, right? They drop a carousel every time they launch, where it's like 2 clever ones, 2 motion ones, 2 oversized ones, an oversized map of the location. Like they're following the same thing.
Yeah, that's a funny play where they're now doing the physical version of it instead of the CGI version.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, the CGI version is more expensive and time consuming.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely, it is. This is clever.
Yeah, and then scroll right. They got the big map in there. Keep going.
Yeah. There it is. So clever.
That's an easy one, like a printed one. I'd show one on, it was like a Czech clothing company that did their Black Friday sale where they had like a massive receipt that unfurled from a 3rd-story window, and it was like when you actually just look at like printing something like that, it's a lot easier than a lot of these other things they're executing here.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, love that.
All right, what is our next topic?
Let's see. See if we have any questions in the chat here. We're gonna go to Luxottica.
Yeah, feel free to drop questions in the chat. I think we're coming towards the end. Oh, we got Luxottica Supreme. So I'll give the quick background on this. Yeah. If you've seen the movie Star Wars, there's a Death Star, right? It's this evil planet destroyer, and that planet destroyer in our world, in the fashion world, is known as Luxottica, right? And so basically, Luxottica makes every sunglass you've ever known, every fashion brand. Yeah, and then they also acquire a bunch of these. They acquired Oakley, they acquire all these companies. They are like a black hole of production meets private equity that it gets IP, eats it up, prints money off of it, but kills some of the original emphasis. So VF could not handle Supreme. VF is the parent company of North Face, Vans, like a few others, and just like they bought Supreme, they thought they could handle Supreme, they didn't know what they were getting into. That's a whole separate conversation that we can have. They decided to offload Supreme, and they offloaded it. Luxottica was like, cool, we're going to grab it. They bought that in there, and then we get the news that newly based Mark Zuckerberg. Actually, you know what? He's been based for a long time. I'll throw that out here. Back when I was working in the outdoors market, that was back when he was only eating meat that he harvested himself. So like he's been deep for 15 years plus. But he was he's now looking at like, all right, I want to make the Meta eyewear cool. It already has good adoption. It's a great product. I have a pair here. Shout out to Meta. But where you're actually like recording in these Ray-Bans, a big part of it that looks good is because like you can't tell. It's a Ray-Ban silhouette. It looks great. Yep. And now they want to go take that as far as they can because it is a great product. You can film on this good enough for social media. And so now they're like, all right, if we brand that with Supreme, maybe we have something. So he wants to buy a 20% stake in Supreme through Luxottica to potentially do that for Meta Ray-Bans. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Bro, first of all, I worked at Sunglass Hut like 20-something years ago. And if you guys look here, everything here on the left is all of the companies that Luxottica owns. And it is like every one of the things that you think, like if you were wearing Gucci or Prada shades or whatever, they're all made by the same company. D&G, Versace, all of them. Emporio Armani, Ralph Lauren. They bought Oakley, which was like, Oakley was one of the last holdouts. They had Maui Jim was a holdout, Oakley, and they've swallowed them all up. I've been impressed that Oakley has been able to kind of somehow, maintain, independence.
Once you got Cops, you're good,
Like, and relevant, yeah. Cops, they've got Travis Scott and Cops. And so
the Venn diagram.
Yeah. And me
zero overlap.
Me and Travis Scott and our mugshots. But do you think, did you read about it? Is it specifically to do it is? Wow. I don't know. I don't know that a 20% stake in Supreme is what you need for to try to. I mean, you could do a simple licensing collab with Ray-Ban.
But I think it's different. I do appreciate that it's different when you are, especially with a brand like Supreme, or if you have any chance to do this, you're going to have to attempt to do it right, or it's going to be absolutely terrible. That you need to be like somewhat at the helm and not be like, we're going to do a collection and the glasses are red, but be like, this is somehow integrated into. Who's the current CDs? Advisory Board Crystals are the current creatives at Supreme right now. Tremaine getting let go, and so or leaving, or however that went down. And so it's like they're gonna have to integrate that in a much more interesting way, and that's at least a shot. Like, I don't know, at least if that's like one way for Meta to be able to get like the Advisory Board Crystals people working on it or whatever that looks like it's at least an interesting play. But this is why, kids, we don't buy those Gucci shades. We go direct to the source. This is why I wear Matsuda. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is we gotta you gotta really get out there and build your own
Japanese artisans.
Indeed, true artisans.
I mean, I tried to make a video. I'll give my Matsuda rant for 2 seconds. I got a pair of Matsudas. I tried to make a video about the Matsudas, but the details are so intricate and subtle that they are uncapturable by an iPhone. And that's when you're like, all right, this is good.
That should just be the video for Matsuda. That should be the billboard. That should be the tagline for Matsuda. You know,
that's basically like that's where the video ended up. I was like, it's not quite there, but we'll probably still run
it. What is the price point on these Masudas?
Oh, I don't know.
I think like anywhere from
what's money at this point?
$800 to $1,500.
It's a concept, my brother.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. You can't put a price tag on that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, do you want to do everyone's like rough take home for June? We can workshop that now, and then we can go real quick. All right, who are y'all voting for? Is it you guys a Harris ticket? You guys on the Vance train?
Are we on a Brat Summer ticket?
We're
on
Kamala's
Brat ticket?
Try to get
look. So Jordan, you get dropped into that Kamala Harris campaign right now. Yeah, you got 3 athletes to choose to turn this train around. You know, did you see Bryson is golfing with Trump on TikTok?
Bryson DeChambeau is golfing with the president on YouTube. How is the Harris camp going to respond? Who are they going to put them with? What's our
that golf video was the first thing up when I opened TikTok, and I was like, and was honestly like decently entertaining. He said, I was like, oh, they're going for it.
They really are. We are in a very weird, political sports zeitgeist with Live and PGA breaking up, and then Trump aligning with all the Live people. Bryson, as soon as he won the U.S. Open, went to like the Trump properties, and now they're doing that. Hey, it's going to get good engagement. He just crossed 1 million subs.
Also, like this is the Saudi-controlled marketing campaign. Like, let's be super clear. Like, we all know who's daddy's who. You got to choose. Do you want Soros or do you want the sheiks, brother? Like, where are we going?
It's so wild how crossed up it is now. You never know. But before we get canceled, we should probably move on.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Antonio's doing Jordan's job for him. He's been like, hey, Harris needs to do some stuff with Coco Gauff or Simone Biles. You know what I mean? Let's see.
Yeah, well, they've got the job postings up. I saw them today. Somebody was posting a listing of all the job postings for the Harris campaign.
Yeah, social media manager, $49,000 a year, responsible for posting, strategy, analytics. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine being a social media manager on a presidential campaign right now?
I'd be like, all right, all this brat stuff. We're gonna take a hard pivot towards issues.
Incredible.
All right. What else has happened this week? Any branding or marketing slithering by? Y'all got served any good Facebook ads recently? You guys copping off the timeline?
JB, I'm not. JB Stats is talking about the NBA WNBA media deal.
Carving out they carved out 2.2 billion or of the 240 or whatever for the WNBA.
It's gonna be a lot of money. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and people are like, "Well, how did you determine that number of the WA?" I'm like, "That's a big number for a property that just got some attention. And maybe is worth more, but that's the whole point: is you bet on something being worth more."
Yeah, eventually being worth more.
Does this mean I'm gonna have to watch the NBA on Amazon Prime?
Bro, that's what I'm worried about. Is we're gonna have to,
I'm there for it because that truly just means we already cord cut, right? Like that actually is great. My biggest the heartache is I don't want to buy NBA TV or whatever it is. I will happily watch that on Amazon Prime. But it's the main reason I haven't been clued in the last like 2 years. Is like once we cord cut, I just couldn't watch basketball the same way.
Yeah, and God forbid we have to download Peacock or something to watch some stupid game at some point. Just kill me. I mean, I know they want to get subs, but
Paramount Plus monopoly on lacrosse, so they've really got me locked in.
Oh my gosh, killing me. Oh, by the way, before we move on, Ashton, we need to hear about the Major League Baseball. You went to the All-Star game. I decided to go to Florida when the biggest sporting event of the year came to my city, my Texas Rangers ballpark. So give us your rundown. What was your assessment of Texas and the Major League Baseball All-Star game?
So I landed in Fort Worth, and I went with my brother-in-law, and he was like, that the Fort Worth airport is bigger than Manhattan. And I'm just like, that's such a stupid stat. That's not correct. You're just making this up. And I look it up, and the entire footprint of the Dallas-Fort Worth airport and its relevant associated offices is like 26 or 27 square miles, which is bigger than the island of Manhattan, which is crazy. Wow. Right. Which is where I was coming from.
What's that? What a fun fact. I didn't even know that.
What a fascinating fun fact. So so as we're driving to the hotel, there is just tons of land and space everywhere. And I'm seeing large law offices, large like carpet factories, just like in the middle
you
of
in Texas
nowhere,
now, brother.
on the side of the highway.
That whole place does taxidermy?
I'm like, this whole place has to be cooled in 104 degrees. No wonder the energy grid is so taxed down here.
Yeah.
So I was alarmed by the sheer size and distance between everything. Food was great. Everything was great. The MLB All-Star Game was super interesting. Obviously, first year going down there, as you may or may not know, I'm not the most dialed in on baseball. But first year going down there, spent the day at their like All-Star Village. They had a number of brands just doing activations kind of all day. We were texting about this. Some brands were just like, they showed up. Mattress Firm was there and they showed up and they basically just built a storefront, a Mattress Firm. And they're like, come on in and you can lay down on our mattresses. You walk in there and it's just people who work at Mattress Firm. They're like, do you want to lay down on one of the beds? And I'm like, this is the activation that you guys are doing? Like there's like dog medication brands that like have these like baseball, like oversized baseball gloves. And like, they're really like contextually aware of what's going on. Mattress Firm is just like, no, we sell mattresses. You can come in here. You can lay down.
These Casper motherfuckers just been selling shit online. Like we're bringing it back to the people.
We're going to let you lay down.
Mattress Firm is a real cockroach that way. But you know, some of these activations left. There was a lot to be desired from some of the activations, but some of them were pretty spot on.
Are you suggesting a Mattress Firm logo refresh to just a cockroach silhouette?
Possibly.
Who brought you out there? What was the sponsor for this again?
So the sponsor was Sage, and this was actually pretty interesting. So Sage is it's an ERP for businesses, but one of their main kind of products is accounting software. It's like AI accounting software. They're UK based firm. They're quite a large brand. They've had a integration with the MLB for a couple of years now, where they'll show like stats and insights during the game. So it'll be like insights brought to you by Sage, right? So if you're watching like tennis game, it's like IBM Watson is like giving you some analytics, right? So it's like they have that thing going on for the duration of the season. And then for the All-Star game, they had an All-Star pop-up where they're bringing like more insights. So I went down with Sage and then I was talking about, you know, why this integration makes sense and how they pulled it off.
Yeah, the mattress firm left much to be desired. I did want to just show this here. Ashwin, what was the compelling $300 offer there? I mean,
well, yeah, your $300 instant gift for a Tempur-Pedic when you purchase a mattress. Who is in the mindset of this is
you know how long it took to workshop that deal. I guarantee there was like 14 stakeholders involved in okay, we're gonna do 300 only if you purchase. Yeah,
300. I don't know, guys. Can we do 300?
Can we get Tempur-Pedic to pitch in?
But what do we have to give out thousands that day? You know, a comment here that's interesting. Were you surprised how many billboards were inside the stadium? I counted over 140 at the Philly stadium. Yeah, this was actually stunning. There are, I mean, every space that you look in the stadium, there are ads somewhere or the other. And so the question is like, what effectiveness does it have in terms of recall recognition, even like noting that sponsor is even there? And this was in pretty stark contrast to a week before I was talking about Wimbledon and how at Wimbledon, the courtside, there's really no sponsors. It's just, it's a real kind of purist, purist and exclusive place where they have
as God intended, on the
as God intended, right? As the Wimbledon gods intended.
Wimbledon and the Masters and Augusta National. That's about it. The only two sacred places left in sports, I think.
They're the country club sports. That's right.
So if any ERPs or EDI software want to send any of us to the Kentucky Derby, like I'm just saying, like NetSuite.
Hey, there we go.
The Brand Brothers, SAP, and the Derby sounds perfect. And I do I don't know. Is there any of us short enough to ride the horse? I think everyone's kind of like a sneaky tall king on here. We'll see. We could do like after we do the combine, we could do jockey training, and that would actually be hot.
God, it'd be incredible.
Why aren't they sponsoring Mattress Firm? Why aren't they sponsoring athlete beds for the Olympics? Interesting. I wonder what
that's why they pay the big bucks, brother.
The official bed sponsor of the Olympics. That would be fascinating.
It's such a good point, Brad Armstrong. Shout out. I think, man,
because of the bed bugs issues in Paris, they don't want to get caught up in any kind of I'm not even joking. There's that's definitely a conversation.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No, but this is also interesting. I have not seen the early mattress posts from some of the athletes. This is what Brad says. But if I have to guess, it seems like every Olympics, the beds are just dog shit, right?
Yeah, because none of these countries have any money. You know what I'm saying? Have y'all seen the state of France? Like, yeah. They ain't spend that money on beds for the Sudanese and the Americans. You know,
we can do. I don't understand how like we can get Skims collabs, we can get Prime, but we can't get like Casper to chip in.
I'm saying Safa, cut the check. You know what I mean? Like
700 half.
There's 435. 8 sleep. Honestly, yeah. Instead of sponsoring one of the Pompliano brothers, can we get some Olympic coverage, my guy? Like, yeah. You know, what are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Every premium athlete could be sleeping on your bed and want to take one home, you know?
Yeah. This look, and you know, the French, they doing this. They're trying to get edge. They're trying to win their only medal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, there ain't no medals for, I'm not going to talk any.
I don't understand about the cardboard.
Ain't no medals for bacon, you know?
It's bizarre. Yeah.
Don't got no awards for that. All right.
But I do. I mean, Ashton, we were going back and forth with this a little bit. I watched the baseball coverage and I tuned into a game the other day, and there are like 4 sponsors just behind home plate while the guy, I mean, there's at any given time, there's multiple ones going. The soccer and the hockey ones are getting so good in these like video boards that are like changing and the transitions that it's almost even hard to focus on the game because the content behind it is so compelling and flashing.
These people just don't know how to spend their money. That's just purely it. They have these budgets. They have no idea what to do. The agencies they've retained have no idea what to do. And if you want to do more and you want to do the right thing, well, that takes work. And no one at these companies or their agencies, God forbid, wants to do work. And so there is just a mass of the entertainment media complex gets to go sell these packages and justify with our AI technology. We've been able to prove that after 17 eyeballs, we're going to get a recognition lift in Costco. Like it's this is just pure, the laziness of the human spirit that enables the graft with which keeps the common man down.
Oh,
poetic.
Please. Yes. I mean, that is incredible, Oren. You're exactly right. I'm trying to find this. I can't get this field.
Someone get Sachi on here. Can we get Sachi himself?
Okay. So what is I mean, I remember like at Nike with taking over like the Dallas Cowboys sponsorship, like taking over the relationship or the NFL. And it would be like, literally like, okay, you guys get 5 placements in our program this year. You know, you get, 2 banners on our website or whatever. I mean, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't want to be in your program. Like, what do you mean? Like, or you get the outfield, you get to be on the 42-yard outfield banner for 13 seconds at timeout, and you're like, I don't need that. I don't want that. Why? Who?
Yeah, who again, well, like you mentioned, the guy mentioned in the chat, it's like they're using it for ego purposes to get the discount in the suite. And like, I don't know, we had a suite at the Staples Center before it was Crypto Arena. That was an amazing business tool, right? Expensive as hell, but we had all the Kings games, the Clippers games, and the Lakers games, and Disney on Ice and all that. And but it was like, just buy the suite. And you understand what it's for, and it's like, yeah, it's a flex, but like getting that versus like, unless you're like a local, you're like Jiffy Lube being like, can I put a tear off coupon inside the program? Like, who's getting value out of this, right?
I guess my question to y'all is like, I mean, having the luxury of worked with some bigger brands, like, is there a case to be? I mean, is it just a name recognition thing? I mean, I totally know what he means. Like, it's ego purposes and it's people
out of home, close to point of purchase. Like maybe you can lock down, right? And if you're saying like there's the guys who do the agile, who do like the trucks and stuff like that, which I know people respond well to, where you're like, hey, we want to make sure that routes are running in our key cities near key retailers. We'll tell them we're doing local traffic. Even that, I think is a stretch. But like, there's really, besides like an at point of intent, like I'm walking into a CVS and the closest billboard reminds me to buy ibuprofen or whatever. Like I think there's a very low correlation you can possibly find to that. Billboards might be slightly different, like billboards for local like businesses that are within a distance, right? Yeah, like a physical distance. But like, other than that, I don't understand where those out of home offers are possibly going to get you. I don't know.
I mean, any different opinion? Question. Ashwin, what do you think? Like, where's the best place to spend out?
Unless you're using it to make content. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, let me go back to this earlier point, right? Let me give the other case for not ego stroking purposes of having your logo in these high visibility places. It's you see a lot of corporations, that offer some kind of like software service with their logo on there. So like IBM has a little logo in any one of these stadiums. And so like what's interesting about that? It's like, well, I know nothing about IBM as a result of like looking at this logo. Maybe I even like scan it or pass over it, but there's like some subliminal imprinting. And I think the idea for IBM is like, just by virtue of being there, we are seen as a more credible player in this space, in this competitive space of software. So like, okay, if we have our potential clientele there, and it's just like one more place that they see our logo, where like we're a not necessarily more formidable, but we are, hey, like if we're here to spend money, like you can trust the nature of our services, right? It's kind
I just
like
look at that in stadium versus like, I mean, like on jersey, I think is amazing. Like think of what Emirates has done purely by the soccer sponsorship, right? You know, but I just like the in stadium to me, just something doesn't sit right for that. I'd have a hard time justifying that.
I'll tell you a couple that I like in stadium. So there's like, what is it? Chime sponsors the Mavericks uniform, and I don't. They're a bank, I guess. Yeah, but they have a clever like at the free throw. You know, if you can have some witty pun about how, you know, your checking account never misses or something like that, you know, or never miss a deposit or something like, you know, like there's some stuff like that, or I don't know, you know, or the old, like, you know, free Chick-fil-A 4 nuggets if somebody scores over 100 points or something like that. You know, those are like fun for fans, but you know, I don't know what it's doing for smaller brands.
Like Brad's calling out here, like, hey, this is an interesting point. I think worth talking about. Where it's like A plus B plus C. Like even though placement C, something random and intangible, doesn't result in the sale, it still outperforms when you do that versus A and B, even though A and B are more successful together. And that's an interesting conversation, right? Where like if you kind of continue to stack those things and it works. I just feel like the C in this case, when there's so many options available for marketing, like that, those particular ones are like a pretty wild use, just also because of the cost. Like none of those things are cheap or proportioned in units, or you have the ability to do something interesting. Even what Jordan mentioned, like I'm building into an activation or a program or something people might pay attention to that has like a conceptual hook, great. But I feel like the subliminal behind the eyeballs, while potentially relevant 20 years ago, with the amount of logos and words and things we see on a screen every day, the ratio of that to what's actually impacting our decisions ratio is just significantly lower. I think I lost your audio.
Yeah, Jordan, you're on mute.
Jordan,
yeah. Well, I was just snapping to totally agree with you. I was just snapping to preach because you were preaching. I think though maybe the C in this case is content. And the funny thing that I see now is like out of home is best used to answer Deshaun question. Out of home to me now is used as a prop in social content. So like, you know, any Adidas or Nike or anyone now does a billboard or Bandit, they did it for unsponsored. You're basically taking a picture, you're getting a drone shot, and then you're posting that on social.
And yeah, we had another one of that. One of the guys, one of the guys in Cut 30 this time did got the Times Square billboard for his company. It was up for like, you know, 15 seconds or whatever. Cause you could do that. And he broke it down. It was like $230 or whatever. And it was up there for 10 seconds, but he was there with a phone as the founder, got the shot, got 180,000 views or whatever from the video. And like, that was a very interesting, bit, yeah. And that's like, if you are doing that, you might as well, actually like alter it, whether you're doing it for a real ROI or not, go get into that.
So yeah, so here's another example that I thought was interesting, and I've talked about W and their rollout campaign. They continue to be crushing it. This looks like an out-of-home campaign that they've done in Miami, but they didn't actually do this. They just had Jake Paul go stand in front of these like billboard and kind of flag areas that probably had other ads on them, and then this was done in like post-production, right? It's all digital, but the shares and the reach that you're getting from social is much further than it's almost like they didn't even have to create the prop in the first place, right? The prop is digitally rendered. So I think this is a really kind of clever use of it.
God, that's a funny one.
Yeah,
my feelings real bad, Miranda.
All right, so this is where we come to that time of the hour, nihilist time. Does any of this even matter anymore? You know, like who are we as people? We just consumer shells, like hobbling along, you know, vendor stall to vendor stall on the Mobius strip of time.
Indeed. You know, maybe one in every 700 DMs, I'll get a question like that. And it's like, do you ever take a step back from the things that you're creating? I'm like, you don't want to open up this can of worms.
yeah, I've been reading Durkheim at night. It's dark.
You know, Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm out here in Oregon and sat out in the quiet. I went to try to read this morning, and it was so quiet that I couldn't do anything but just absorb silence. And, it's a good break from the TikTokification of our brains and all that. So I hope we all get that somehow.
This is a beautiful exit.
It's a beautiful moment here that we have, gentlemen. That's right. Yeah. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Let us know if you prefer this evening time or if there's a better time that we should be doing this.
But we're going to be back next Thursday, same time. We may even have Bima join us. We'll see. Adidas is trying to get him out of the Nike prison that they've trapped him in underground. We'll see if it happens.
The Boeing hit is real. The reason that I've been on the road, quite frankly, for the last 2 weeks is because I made the YouTube video about Nike dying, and I'm basically trying to escape them.
And the reason I've been making the same, I've been equally as critical, but in the bastion, the stronghold of Orange County, I say, I dare you. I dare y'all to try to Boeing out here. Yeah, I got my police response time 16 seconds. You wouldn't even believe it. Got a cop on every corner.
You guys have a billboard when you enter Orange County. Something about like the cops.
Oh yeah. It's literally it says we prosecute.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, look, and the social media. Just to give a little M1 anecdote. The Costa Mesa, where I live, the Newport Beach, Costa Mesa area, have like the police department has like a constant like 4 criminals came down from lawless Los Angeles and were apprehended immediately upon entry as they began to get their devious ways. And it's just like the Instagram's like, and then it's just all the moms from my kids' school being like, "Thank you so much for your service." I'm like,
get them.
You got to do a collab with the local precinct.
Yeah, bro. When's the collab with Orange County Police? Valuable Studios.
Look, if I do some PD uniforms, like it is what it is. We'll go do Simunition, like as a group. Like we'll all bring in there. We'll with that. We can run through some scenarios. I mean, I'm
so fire.
Yeah, I want to say how Jordan moved with the switch. You know what I mean?
Already, you guys know. All right. Well, we appreciate y'all. We will be on the road here in a couple of months. More announcements coming. But
we got to sign some paperwork
in Winnebago.
That's right. We got to sign some paperwork, but we may see y'all somewhere.
You may see the East Coast brethren.
That's right.
As they're known.
Indeed.
Yeah. Jordan Rivers. Winnebago. Yeah.
I might be in LA next week, actually, Warren. So we're gonna continue.
Yeah, let me know. I'm here. I leave to China Friday, so we'll try and figure that out. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace, love, your beautiful souls.
All right. Indeed.